I stood in the doorway of what used to be my bedroom, staring at the mint green walls and the half-assembled crib where my bed should have been. The "Welcome Baby" banner draped across the window felt like a slap across my face. My phone was still live streaming, capturing every second of this birthday surprise gone wrong. "Sophia, honey, isn't it wonderful?" Mom's voice carried that artificial sweetness she reserved for her corporate presentations. "Your sister's baby will have the perfect nursery, and you'll have that lovely space in the basement we've been talking about." We hadn't been talking about anything. I'd been away at debate camp for 3 weeks, and they'd erased me from my own room without a single text or call. 3,000 viewers, I muttered, glancing at my phone screen. That's a record for my birthday streams. The comments were flooding in, mostly shocked emojis and questions about what was happening. Dad cleared his throat behind me. "Princess, we thought you'd be excited about having a more mature space. You're 17 now, after all." I turned to face them, keeping my voice steady. "When exactly were you planning to tell me?" "Well, we wanted it to be a surprise," Mom said, smoothing her designer blazer. "Megan needs this room. It has the best natural light, and being closer to our bedroom will make nighttime feedings easier." Megan, always Megan, my perfect sister, 15 years my senior, who'd finally managed to get pregnant after 3 rounds of IVF. The golden child who could do no wrong. "Did you move my things?" I asked, scanning the room for any trace of my existence. "Everything's boxed up downstairs," Dad replied quickly. "We were very careful with your belongings." I walked to the closet, my closet, and pulled open the doors. Designer baby clothes hung in neat rows where my thrift store finds used to be. A top-of-the-line changing table occupied the corner where I'd kept my writing desk. "Your grandfather helped us pick out the furniture," Mom added, as if that detail would somehow make this better. "He's so excited about his first great-grandchild." The comments on my live stream were getting heated. "This is messed up," someone wrote. "They didn't even ask her?" Another chimed in, "Rich people problems, but still toxic AF." I closed my eyes for a moment, remembering all the nights I'd spent in this room, writing in my journal, dreaming about college, feeling safe in my own space. Now it was gone, transformed into a shrine to the next generation of family favorites. "I have to go," I said, my voice surprisingly calm. "Aunt Clara's expecting me for birthday dinner." "But, honey, we haven't even had cake yet," Mom protested. "And Megan's coming over with the ultrasound pictures." "Of course she is." I turned off the live stream and headed for the stairs. "Thanks for the surprise. It's definitely one I'll remember." "Sophia," Dad called after me. "Don't be dramatic. This is about family." I paused at the top of the stairs, turning back one last time. "You're right, Dad. It's always been about family, just not all of it." As I walked out the front door, my phone buzzed with a text from Aunt Clara. "Saw your stream. Come over now. We need to talk." I smiled for the first time that day. Aunt Clara had always seen through our family's perfect facade. And now, thanks to one impulsive live stream, so did 3,000 other people. The funny thing about betrayal, it doesn't always come with screaming matches or dramatic confrontations. Sometimes it arrives with mint green walls and a welcome baby banner, wrapped up like a gift you never wanted to receive. Aunt Clara's kitchen smelled like cinnamon and truth, the kind of truth that burns going down. She set a mug of tea in front of me and took a seat, her dark eyes fixed on my face. "Your live stream hit 50,000 views in the past hour," she said, sliding her phone across the table. "Your mother's already called me 3 times. Let me guess, she wants you to talk some sense into me?" I wrapped my hands around the warm mug, watching the steam rise. "Actually, she wants me to convince you to take down the video. Something about family image and Megan's delicate condition." Aunt Clara's lip curled slightly. Your sister's pregnancy isn't exactly a national security issue. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Megan. Mom's really upset. Can't you just be happy for me for once? For once, I muttered, turning the phone face down. Because I'm always the problem, right? The doorbell rang, and Aunt Clara's expression hardened. Through the front window, I could see Mom's Mercedes in the driveway. You don't have to talk to her, Aunt Clara said quietly, but I was already standing. Yes, I do. It's time someone did. Mom burst in before I reached the door, her heels clicking against the hardwood floors. Sophia, this little social media stunt needs to stop. Do you have any idea what this could do to your father's position at the firm or Megan's reputation? My reputation? I echoed. What about my room, my space, my existence in this family? Don't be melodramatic. She pulled out her phone, probably checking damage control options. We're giving you a beautiful new space in the basement. It's practically an apartment. Right next to the water heater and Dad's unused exercise equipment. How thoughtful. Your sister needs, Megan wants, Megan deserves. The words exploded out of me. When was the last time either of you asked what I needed? Mom's fingers froze over her phone screen. We give you everything. Everything except attention, or respect, or the basic courtesy of asking before you erase me from my own room. Clara, Mom turned to her sister. Would you please explain to Sophia how families make sacrifices? Aunt Clara crossed her arms. Interesting concept, Linda. Remind me again, which sacrifices you and Richard have made in this situation? The front door opened again, and Megan walked in, one hand resting on her barely visible bump. I came as soon as I saw the video. She looked at me with that same patronizing expression she'd used since I was little. Sophia, sweetie, you're making this so much harder than it needs to be. Am I? I pulled up the livestream comments on my phone because 300,000 people seemed to disagree. 300. Mom snatched my phone, scrolling frantically. This is a nightmare. Your father's partners will see this. Their wives are already commenting. Good, I said, surprising myself with the steel in my voice. Let them see exactly who you are. Megan stepped closer, reaching for my hand. We're family. We're supposed to support each other. I pulled away. Support goes both ways, Megan. When was the last time you supported me? She faltered, then recovered. I've always been there for you. Really? Name one thing about my life right now, one thing I care about, one dream I have. The silence that followed was deafening. That's what I thought. I turned to Mom, who was still frantically typing on my phone. Keep it. I don't need it anymore. The damage is already done. Sophia. Mom's voice cracked slightly. What do you want from us? I wanted you to see me, to remember I exist. But now? I looked between them. My perfect sister, my career-obsessed mother, both so convinced of their own righteousness. Now I want you to feel what it's like to be invisible. I walked past them, heading for the door. Behind me, I heard Aunt Clara say quietly, She's not wrong, you know. And this is just the beginning. She was right. The video was just the first crack in our family's perfect facade, and I was just getting started. I hadn't meant to eavesdrop, but when I heard Grandpa Henry's name while passing Dad's home office, my feet froze mid-step. The door was cracked open just enough for their voices to slip through. Henry's getting suspicious about the college fund, Mom was saying. He keeps asking for documentation. We'll figure something out. Dad's chair creaked. We always do. The market's been volatile. We can blame the missing money on that. And what about the trust fund he set up for Sophia? He'll want to see those statements too. My heart stopped. Trust fund? That's been supporting the mortgage for years. Dad replied. What was I supposed to do when the firm cut partner profits? Let us lose the house? Lower your voice, Mom hissed. She could be home. She's still at Clara's. Besides, she's too wrapped up in her social media crusade to notice anything else. I pressed my back against the wall, my fingernails digging into my palms. The trust fund I'd never known about, the college money that was supposed to be mine, all of it, gone. We need to focus on Megan right now, Mom said. The baby shower's costing a fortune, but it has to be perfect. The whole country club will be there. Henry's contributing to that too. Said he wants his first great-grandchild to have the best of everything. Speaking of Henry, he's coming for dinner tomorrow. We need to get Sophia under control before then. This viral video situation could ruin everything. Dad's laugh was bitter. She'll cave. She always does. Just promise her a new car or something. My phone vibrated. A text from Grandpa Henry. Coming to town tomorrow. Need to talk to you privately. Very important. I typed back immediately. Yes, please. What about the basement renovation? Mom asked. We promised Sophia. We'll tell her it's delayed. Contractor issues. Use the money for the baby shower instead. Something hot and sharp unfurled in my chest. All those years of feeling invisible, worthless, second best. They hadn't just neglected me. They'd stolen from me. My phone buzzed again. Megan, Mom says you're still sulking. Grow up, sis. The world doesn't revolve around you. I smiled at the screen, a plan forming. You're right, I typed back. How about I help with the baby shower? I could make a special video presentation, old family photos, childhood memories. Her response was immediate. Really? That would be amazing. Mom will be so happy you're finally being supportive. If they only knew. I had 3 weeks until the shower, 3 weeks to gather evidence, to build my case, to prepare my revenge, and thanks to their conversation, I knew exactly where to start. I slipped away from the office door and headed to the basement, my new apartment. The boxes of my life were stacked against the walls, untouched. I dug through them until I found what I needed. My old laptop, the one Dad had replaced last Christmas. The one with years of saved emails, photos, and recordings. The one they'd forgotten about. I powered it up, my hands steady despite the rage burning through me. The screen flickered to life, revealing folders of family history they thought were long gone. Hey, kiddo. Aunt Clara's voice made me jump. She stood at the bottom of the stairs, arms crossed. Heard everything? I nodded, unable to speak. Good. She walked over and glanced at my laptop screen. Then you know what you have to do. They'll hate me. They already do, sweetie. The difference is, now you have proof. I looked up at her. Will you help me? She smiled, and for a moment I saw the steel beneath her kindness. Why do you think I've been keeping records of my own? Tomorrow, I'd meet with Grandpa Henry. Tomorrow, I'd start putting the pieces together. Tomorrow, the real game would begin. But tonight, in this basement they'd banished me to, I'd start building my case. Because the thing about being invisible, people forget you're watching. And I'd been watching for years. Grandpa Henry's private study at the country club felt like stepping into another century, all dark wood and leather-bound books. He sat across from me, spreading documents across his mahogany desk like playing cards in a high-stakes game. Your college fund, he said, sliding one statement toward me. Your trust fund. Another paper. And the basement renovation budget. A third document joined the others. Would you like to explain why all 3 accounts are nearly empty? My fingers trembled as I picked up the papers. The numbers told a story of systematic theft, of years of calculated betrayal. I didn't know these existed, I whispered. His eyebrows shot up. None of them? Just the college fund. They promised. I stopped. remembering all those conversations about saving for my future, all lies. And the basement renovation? He leaned forward. The one they're supposedly doing for you? I met his eyes. They told me yesterday it's delayed. Contractor issues. Interesting. He pulled out his phone, showed me a photo. Because according to this invoice, they spent that money on Megan's baby shower. Quite the elaborate affair they're planning. Something bitter rose in my throat. Of course they did. Your mother called me this morning, he continued, his voice carefully neutral. She's concerned about your recent behavior. Says you're acting out, trying to damage the family's reputation. Is that what she calls exposing the truth? The truth, he echoed, is a complicated thing in this family. He paused, studying me. Did you know your father's firm is struggling? That they've been living beyond their means for years? I shook my head. They've been using your trust fund to maintain appearances, to keep up with the country club memberships, the luxury cars, the social obligations. His lips curved in a humorless smile, all while telling me they were investing in your future. My phone buzzed. A text from Megan. Mom's freaking out about the baby shower video. You're still doing it, right? I ignored it, focusing on Grandpa Henry. Why are you telling me this now? Because I made a mistake, he said quietly. I thought providing financial security would make them better parents. Instead, it made them worse ones. Another buzz. Mom this time. Where are you? We need to discuss the basement plans. More lies. Always more lies. What do you want me to do? I asked him. That depends. He gathered the documents, arranging them precisely. Do you want justice or do you want revenge? Is there a difference? Justice rights wrongs. Revenge creates new ones. He stood, walking to his wall, safe. The question is, which will hurt them more? My phone lit up again. Dad, your mother's worried. Come home so we can talk about your future. My future, the one they'd stolen piece by piece. The baby shower, I said slowly. Everyone will be there, the whole family, all their friends. Yes, Grandpa Henry turned from the safe, holding a thick folder, including several partners from your father's firm, people who might be very interested in certain financial discrepancies. I thought about my basement exile, about years of being invisible, about trust funds drained to maintain their perfect facade. The video presentation, I said, the one they're all so excited about. What if it showed more than just family memories? He placed the folder in front of me. Then you'd better make sure the evidence is ironclad, because once you start this, there's no going back. I opened the folder, finding years of bank statements, emails, and photos I'd never seen. Evidence of their systematic betrayal, documented in black and white. They'll hate me, I said, echoing my words to Aunt Clara. Perhaps. He sat back down. But they'll never ignore you again. My phone buzzed one final time. Aunt Clara. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. I looked at the folder, then at my grandfather. Show me everything. Because sometimes the choice between justice and revenge isn't really a choice at all. Sometimes they're the same thing, viewed from different angles. And I was finally ready to step into the light. The video editing software glowed on my laptop screen. Fragments of our family's carefully curated lies, arranged in neat little squares. 3 days until the baby shower, and my hands hadn't stopped shaking since I'd started putting this together. You're sure about this? Aunt Clara asked, watching over my shoulder as I spliced together Mom's social media posts about family values with bank statements showing my drained trust fund. Play it again, I said, clicking back to the beginning. The opening was perfect. Mom's tearful interview about Megan's miracle pregnancy, followed immediately by security footage from the country club showing her screaming at me in the parking lot last week. Then came the paper trail, forged signatures, Emptied accounts, years of systematic theft disguised as parental care. My phone lit up. Megan. Just saw the preview clip you sent. The old photos are adorable. Mom's crying happy tears. Of course she was. She'd only seen the first 30 seconds. Sophia. Aunt Clara's voice was gentle. Once you do this, there's no taking it back. I minimized the video window, pulling up my social media feed. My birthday live stream had hit 2 million views. Comments poured in daily, strangers defending me, sharing their own stories of family betrayal. They're already trying to take it back, I said, showing her mom's latest post, a carefully worded statement about teenage rebellion and family unity. They're painting me as the villain. Because they're scared. She sat beside me. And scared people are dangerous. My laptop chimed. An email from Dad's firm. Another warning about social media conduct affecting the family's reputation. As if their reputation was worth more than my future. The doorbell rang downstairs. Aunt Clara tensed. Are you expecting someone? No, but I checked the security camera feed on my phone and froze. It's Megan. I'll handle it. No. I stood, saving my progress on the video. I need to do this. Megan was waiting in the living room, one hand resting on her bump. Her new power move. We need to talk about the baby shower. The video's almost done, I said, keeping my voice neutral. That's not why I'm here. She stepped closer. Mom and Dad are worried about you. Really worried. They're talking about sending you to that wellness center in Switzerland, the one that helped cousin Rachel with her issues. The threat hung in the air between us. Issues? I repeated. You mean when she tried to expose Uncle James for embezzling? Megan flinched. That was different. Was it? I pulled out my phone, showing her one of the bank statements. Because this looks pretty similar. She barely glanced at it. You don't understand how hard they've worked? To steal my future? You're right. I don't understand that at all. They did it for us. For the family. No, I said quietly. They did it for you. I was just the piggy bank they broke open to fund your perfect life. Her face hardened. If you show anything inappropriate at the shower, they'll send you away. Is that what you want? To be alone? I thought about the video waiting upstairs, about Grandpa Henry's evidence, about years of being invisible. I already am alone. The difference is, now I'm choosing it. Think about what this will do to my baby, she whispered. Your niece or nephew? We'll grow up in a family built on lies unless someone tells the truth. She reached for my hand. Please, Sophia, for me? For a moment, I wavered. Then I remembered my empty room, my stolen future, their endless manipulations. The video stays, I said, all of it. Then what happens next is your fault. She turned to leave, then paused. You know what your problem is? You think being right is the same as being happy. After she left, I returned to my laptop, staring at the timeline of clips and documents that would destroy my family. You okay? Aunt Clara asked from the doorway. I pressed play, watching our carefully constructed facade crumble in high definition. Ask me again after the baby shower. Because sometimes being right isn't about being happy. Sometimes it's about being free. The country club ballroom sparkled with expensive lies. Crystal champagne flutes caught the light. Designer dresses rustled, and my mother's carefully orchestrated baby shower unfolded like a stage production. I stood at the audiovisual controls, USB drive heavy in my pocket, watching the minutes tick down. Last chance to back out, Aunt Clara whispered, appearing beside me. I shook my head, eyes fixed on Mom working the room, Dad charming the firm's partners, Megan holding court in her designer maternity dress. They looked so perfect, so practiced in their performance. Ladies and gentlemen, Mom clinked her glass. Before we present our gifts, My youngest daughter has prepared a special video tribute to celebrate this moment. The room turned to me, faces bright with expectation. Megan caught my eye, her smile brittle with warning. I plugged in the drive. The opening sequence played exactly as they expected. Childhood photos, family vacations, carefully curated moments of perfection. Mom relaxed visibly. Dad nodded approvingly. Then the screen flickered. Bank statements appeared, showing the systematic draining of my trust fund. Security footage played. Mom's parking lot meltdown. Dad's drunken confession at last year's Christmas party about the firm's financial troubles. Emails detailing their plans to send me away flashed across the screen. The room went silent. Turn it off, Mom's voice cut through the quiet. There's clearly been a The technical term is theft, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. Or would you prefer fraud? Dad lunged for the controls, but I stepped back. Your partners might be interested in where their investment money really went, Dad. Should we let the video finish? You ungrateful little, Mom started forward, but Grandpa Henry's voice stopped her. Let it play, Linda. The evidence continued mounting on screen. With each revelation, I watched their perfect facade crumble. Partners whispered among themselves. Friends edged toward the door. I can explain, Dad began, but his voice faltered as his own signature appeared on forged documents. Megan stood suddenly, face pale. I'm having contractions. The room erupted. Mom rushed to her side, shooting me a look of pure venom. Are you happy now? You could harm the baby. The baby? I laughed, the sound harsh even to my ears. What about the harm you've done to me? Security, Dad barked into his phone. We need, already here. A voice responded. Two men in suits appeared at my sides. Not country club security, private investigators based on their badges. Miss Thompson, one said, your parents have filed a complaint about cyber harassment and defamation. We need you to come with us. The room spun. This wasn't part of the plan. I looked for Aunt Clara, but she was blocked by the crowd gathering around Megan. You can't, I started. We can, Mom cut in, her smile razor sharp. For your own good, remember? Like we discussed with the wellness center? Grandpa Henry stepped forward. Linda, think carefully about. I'm thinking about my family, she snapped. My real family. The investigators moved closer. My carefully planned revenge was unraveling, turning into something darker than I'd imagined. The evidence. I reached for my phone, but one of the men took it. Will be reviewed appropriately, he said. For now, you need to come with us. I looked around the room, at the shocked faces, the judging eyes, the family I'd tried to expose now watching as I was led away. Even the truth, it seemed, could be bought and sold if you had enough money and influence. Wait, Megan called out, suddenly dropping her hand from her stomach. I have something to say. But I never heard what it was. The investigators were already steering me toward the door, my mother's voice carrying behind me. We'll get her the help she needs. Now, about those contractions. The last thing I saw was Aunt Clara's face, her expression unreadable as she pulled out her phone and began to dial. I'd wanted to expose their lies. Instead, I'd given them the perfect opportunity to bury the truth, and me forever. Sometimes revenge doesn't taste like victory. Sometimes it tastes like ashes in your mouth as you're led away from everything you thought you knew. The police station's interview room felt smaller with each passing hour. My parents' private investigators had handed me over to real cops, who seemed more interested in my evidence than my alleged cybercrimes. The door opened. Grandpa Henry walked in, followed by Aunt Clara and, surprisingly, Megan. The charges have been dropped, Grandpa Henry announced, his voice tight with controlled anger. Your parents won't be pursuing any legal action. Because they can't, Megan added, lowering herself carefully into a chair, not without exposing themselves. I studied my sister's face, searching for the usual judgment or condescension. Instead, I found something new. Fear. "There's more," Aunt Clara said, placing a folder on the table. "Show her." Megan's hands shook as she opened it. "Remember when I said I needed your room because it was closer to Mom and Dad's? That wasn't exactly true." Inside were more bank statements, but these weren't about my trust fund. They showed regular payments from our parents to Megan's account, starting 15 years ago, when I was born. "They paid you?" My voice cracked. "For what?" "To be perfect." Megan's laugh was hollow. "To be the daughter they wanted, to keep their secrets." She touched her stomach. "To give them the grandchild they needed to maintain the family image. The pregnancy is real, but it wasn't my idea." She met my eyes. "Nothing in my life has been my idea." The door burst open. Mom stormed in, Dad trailing behind her like a shadow. "You ungrateful children," she spat. "After everything we've done, everything you've done." Grandpa Henry's voice cut through her rage. "Like stealing from your youngest daughter, bribing your eldest, lying to me about where my money was going." "We had to maintain our position," Dad protested. "The firm is under investigation," Grandpa Henry finished, "thanks to an anonymous tip about financial irregularities. Funny how those bank statements Sophia showed matched some suspicious transactions." Mom's face went white. "You can't." "I already have." He stood, every inch the patriarch they'd feared. "As of this morning, I've revised my will. Sophia's trust fund has been restored, under Clara's management. Megan will receive support for her child's education, independently from you both." "And us?" Dad's voice was barely a whisper. "You get exactly what you deserve, nothing." Mom lunged forward, but Aunt Clara stepped between us. "Think carefully, Linda. The cameras are still rolling." I looked up, noticing for the first time the small red light in the corner. Everything was being recorded. "You're choosing them over us?" Mom's voice shook. "Your own daughter?" "No, Mother," Megan said quietly. "You chose this. Every time you picked status over love, money over family, lies over truth." "The wellness center," Mom started, "was never real," I finished. "Just another threat to keep us in line." The silence that followed felt like glass about to shatter. "What happens now?" Dad asked, looking lost without his usual script. "Now," Grandpa Henry said, "you leave, both of you, before I add fraud charges to the investigation." They left without another word, their perfect facade finally, completely broken. Megan reached across the table, taking my hand. "I'm sorry. For everything. For not seeing what they were doing to you. For being their weapon instead of your sister. And now? Now we learn how to be family without their rules." She squeezed my hand. "If you'll let me try." I looked at Aunt Clara, who nodded encouragingly, then at Grandpa Henry, who watched with tired satisfaction. "Family," I said slowly, testing the word's new meaning. "Without conditions?" "Without lies," Megan corrected. "The rest we'll figure out together." Outside the police station, reporters waited with cameras and questions. But for the first time, I didn't feel invisible. I felt seen, not as the person they'd tried to make me, but as the person I'd chosen to become. Sometimes revenge doesn't end the way you expect. Sometimes it breaks everything open, revealing truths you never knew you needed to find. And sometimes, in the aftermath of destruction, you find something worth building again. The nursery still smelled of fresh paint, but the mint green walls were now covered with star charts and constellations. My astronomy posters had replaced the cutesy decorations, and my telescope stood where the crib had been. "It's weird being back here," Megan said from the doorway. one hand resting on her now prominent bump. Feels like a lifetime ago. 3 months is hardly a lifetime. I adjusted the telescope's alignment, focusing on the evening star. But yeah, everything's different now. She wandered in, picking up one of the college acceptance letters from my desk. Harvard's a long way from home. That's kind of the point. The house felt emptier since our parents had moved to their downtown apartment, their social circle shrinking as Dad's legal troubles mounted. They still called sometimes, usually when they needed something, usually money. I got another email from Mom, Megan said, sitting on my bed. She wants to host the baby shower, again, says she can make it perfect this time. And? And I told her I'm having a quiet dinner with my sister instead. She smiled slightly. The look on her face when I mentioned you were helping me with the nursery design. A car pulled up outside, Aunt Clara, right on time. I'd been living with her since everything happened, but I still came back here sometimes, to remind myself, to rebuild. You're sure about this? Megan gestured at my packed bags. Moving into the dorms early? Grandpa Henry thinks it's a good idea. Get settled before the semester starts. That's not what I asked. I turned from the telescope, really looking at my sister. The perfect facade was gone, replaced by something real, something broken and healing, just like me. I need to figure out who I am without their shadow, I said, without the revenge, without the anger. And without me? No. I sat beside her. Just without their version of you. She nodded, understanding. We'd both been shaped by their expectations, their manipulations. Breaking free meant breaking everything, including who we thought we were supposed to be. The doorbell rang, Aunt Clara coming to help with my bags. But before I could move, Megan grabbed my hand. I found Mom's old diary, she said quickly, from when you were born. She swallowed hard. She wanted to give you up for adoption, said one perfect daughter was enough. Why tell me this now? Because you should know, keeping you, it was the only time she ever lost control of the narrative, the only time Grandpa Henry forced her hand. She squeezed my fingers. You were never part of their perfect story. That's why you were able to break it. Aunt Clara's footsteps sounded on the stairs, but I barely heard them. All those years of feeling invisible, and now I understood. I'd never fit their story because I was never meant to. Your room's ready at my place, Megan added, for when you visit. No mint green walls, I promise. I laughed, surprised by how light it felt. Save that for the baby's room? God, no. I'm thinking constellations, like these. She gestured at my walls. Something real to wish upon. Aunt Clara appeared in the doorway, car keys jingling. Ready? I stood, taking one last look around the room that had started everything. The space they'd tried to take from me, now reclaimed on my own terms. Almost, I said, reaching for my telescope. Through the lens, the evening star blazed bright and clear, a point of light in the darkness, showing the way forward. Revenge had brought me here, but it wasn't what would carry me forward. That would take something else, something like forgiveness, not for them, but for myself, for believing I needed their version of perfect when I could create my own. Now I'm ready, I said, and meant it. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone else's story. Sometimes it's about finally writing your own.